Okay, I have 4 questions in here. The first question, I'm reading out these questions first. As a layperson, how can one recognize the difference between what is necessary and what is desire? Well, I'm sure that if you really sit down and analyze it, you know what is necessary and what is excessive. We talk about excessive desire. Desire is not totally bad, you know. When you desire to be good, you desire to be successful in your endeavors to, for example, to build a nursing home, in your endeavors to build up your business, and if you are a philanthropist who planning to donate your money out and all that for the public, desire is not necessarily bad. As a matter of fact, if you don't have desire, it's better to have desire than not to have any desire at all. I'm talking about good desire. Not, for example, greedy desire, sexual desire, for example, you know. So the desire to have enlightenment, the desire to be a bodhisattva, the desire to pursue the enlightenment path, it's good to have desire. So what is the difference between what is necessary and what is desire? Is it excessive? For example, if you can drive a Volkswagen to work, and that's good, why do you drive a Porsche? Why do you drive a Ferrari? Because in your hidden psyche, in your heart, you want exuberance. You want a manifestation of your wealth. You want to be proud of something. You know that's not right. You want to look expensive. You think that by driving a car like that, people will think you differently, will uphold you as someone who is wealthy, who is respectable, something like that. So you know a Volkswagen is good enough for traveling. So why do you have to look for something so expensive and luxurious? You know what is basic and what is desire. To have a meal to satisfy your hunger, maybe you need nutrition. You have bread, you have all the necessary nutritions, soup, vegetables or whatnot that satisfy the nutrition requirements. Why do you have to slaughter lobsters for its delicacy? Why do you have to kill cow for beef, for sirloin steak? Why do you have to kill a hog for pork chops? Why do you have to kill a chicken for chicken breast? If you have enough nutrition, why do you kill animals for its flesh? Yeah. Why? If you have enough clothing, why do you kill the seal for its skin? In the north, they kill thousands of seal atrociously, cruelly, for their skin. They kill them alive. And why do you have to do that? Okay, that's the question. Next question. Thank you for the excellent lecture earlier. Well, how was it? Is it good? I need your feedback so that I can use the same points. Huh? Yeah, okay, so good. Good to have feedback. It's not that I like to listen to praise, but sometimes you know which approach you should be taking. Yeah, okay. Sometimes follow-up questions come to mind, but with the camera recording, some of us are reluctant to ask, is it permissible? Of course, it's allowable to ask, you're permitted to ask any questions. For example, we talked about the 5 skandhas today, and Avalokitesvara, when practicing the profound prajna paramita, perceived that the 5 skandhas are empty and thereby free herself from all suffering. But why? What are the 5 skandhas? I explained the 5 skandhas, and you can ask follow-up questions like, whatever questions about the 5 skandhas. When we talk about the 5 skandhas, sometimes we use 2 analogies. One analogy is pertaining to the smaller world, our body. Pick up the 5 skandhas. When we refer to the huge, large universe, we also have the 5 skandhas. The sentient beings and non-sentient beings. The non-sentient ones are the mountains, the lakes, the landscapes, the air, everything. And then there's people, there's sentient beings, which have feelings. And when they have feelings, that means they have perception, they have conception, they have volition, they have consciousness. The sentient being side. And also they have the non-sentient being side, which is the atoms, space, mountains, lakes, rivers, oceans, you name them. So it's also, you can use it in the smaller analogy of the body by using the 5 skandhas, and the larger analogy of the whole universe. And all of them, whether they be the smaller version or the bigger version, they belong to one exposition that we want to tell you. They are devoid of inherent existence. They're empty. They're sunyata. They are dependent on causes and factors. Don't mistake the condition for the unconditioned, and don't mistake the relative for the absolute. The unconditioned is unspeakable. The unspeakable Dharma. That's the enlightenment, the anuttara samya sambhuti. That's the unconditioned. It does not, it rises above conditions. Tathagata, or the Buddha nature. All conditions are regarded as dreams and mirages. They should be regarded as such. So that's don't mistake the condition for the unconditioned. Don't mistake the relative for the absolute. Outside of the mind, there's no appearances. Relative arises from the mind. When the mind thinks of relations and distinctions, then you're thinking of relativity. When you're thinking of relativity, you're being locked up in the conception of duality. This is poor, this is rich, this is ugly, this is beautiful, this is hatred, this is love, this is my friend, this is my enemy. You're in relativity. What is the absolute? The absolute is unspeakable Dharma. The absolute is Tathagata. It's beyond the playful words. It's beyond playful conceptions. It's beyond playful perception. Certainly deceitful perceptions. It's beyond the store consciousness. If you can contemplate and realize by actually experiencing it, that the 5 skandhas are empty, then thereby you're free from suffering. Because you know there's an end for the suffering. Because you know that if you realize sunyata is the remedy or the antithesis to cure this misconception of mistaking the condition for the unconditioned, mistaking the relative for the absolute. Sunyata is the remedy for that. So you understand emptiness, there's the antidote for it. When you understand it fully, understanding fully does not mean that it's understanding the words. I'm academic. If I'm an academic, how do you pronounce that? Academic person? If I'm an academic, I always think in terms of just the words and the conceptions. And I understand, of course, emptiness, but I don't get realization because I attach to the words. I treat it as like a book. But it's different from actually experience it. Experience the emptiness. And experiencing the emptiness is through, not by reading the book. It's by meditation. It's by the mind realization. If just by reading a book and understanding sunyata and emptiness, then all academics become Buddhas. That's not the case. Okay, that question is answered. Next question. Many animals' parts are used in human life, including clothing, shoes, cleaning, hospital stitches, even used in computer memory. Should we stop using all those? Is it possible that the world, giving the misconception of misunderstanding the truth, stop to use all these things? Because of karma, that they always will be using this. When we purify our karma, then we will stop using it. How can you stop people from using it? It's by letting them realize wisdom. They stop automatically. You don't force them. If you force them, you get opposite effect. The Buddha don't force people to believe in him. It has to be by gradual education that they understand that cruelty is not acceptable, or they understand compassion is the way to go in a peaceful world. You do not stop it forcefully. You have to spread the wisdom. You have to be like an evangelist who's preaching the gospel, for example. You don't force people. You don't hold a sword in one hand and a book in the other and say, read this book, and if you don't, chop. You don't do it like that. Next question. In the sutra, it is written, the sixth realization is that poverty fosters hatred and anger. I have met many happy people that have very little. Could the sutra be referring to spiritual poverty? Well, the spirit, it refers to both. When you say that you have met many happy people that have very little, I assume that you fully understood them. They are very close to you, and you actually read their mind. Some people may appear happy, but they're not happy. Imagine if you're always deficient in supplies. Would you be happy? If people are living in a house, a reasonably good house, and you're living in a shack that's leaking, in the wintertime there's no heat, you're in poverty, or maybe you are living in a shack built of Coca-Cola cans. In some countries, yes, I've seen that. You call that poverty, right? You're living in a shack that is just metal, covered with metal. In the summertime, the sun is shining on it, and you're like living in an oven. You think, I'm happy living in an oven, I'm sweating, I'm happy, I'm happy. When they come out, they may feel happy, but do you really understand whether they're happy or not? If you're always in constant poverty, if you are sometimes in poverty, and you have to drive to be better, you have to drive to improve, then you may be happy after gradual improvements. If you're living in poverty and you say, I like poverty, I don't have to work, I'm free, I don't have to be working for somebody, I don't have to get pressure and tension for that, it may be good for a while, but then if you're in constant poverty, I don't think you will feel happy. Now even that, in here, the sutra refers to if you are in constant poverty, and generally people who are in constant poverty would foster hatred and anger. because they are not satisfied with the current situation. People who are in constant poverty, usually they're not satisfied with the current situation. If they are satisfied with constant poverty, they may fall into two groups. These people fall into two groups. One is they're enlightened bodhisattvas. Poverty to them is nothing. He's just required a bowl of rice per day, and he's happy the way he is. He's enlightened. When he's in meditation, he does not even need food. It's just like the taxi cab driver uncle. He says, I'm going to go into a cave for 7 years, close the cave door, nothing inside. I'm not going to cook, no cooker, no phone, everything, nothing. And I'm meditating in there. After 7 years, you open the cave door. If I'm dead, let me die. If I am not dead, I'll come back with a message. Now that's the kind that is in poverty. He has nothing. He's just got a cave. Is that poverty enough? Just a cave and a piece of stone surrounding you. But he's enlightened. Are you talking about me? Did you meet these kind of people? If you did, please introduce them to me. I need enlightenment. And I like to get some teaching from them. On the other hand, there's another group of people. They live in poverty. They're not enlightened. They're not satisfied. And even in this group of people, they're not enlightened people. They fall into two groups too. One, they want to get out of poverty. The other, they don't know how to. Which group do you prefer to be in? You want to be in poverty and you don't know how to get out of poverty? The Buddha says you have to be diligent, you have to improve. You must get out of poverty. Not just you yourself getting out of poverty, you help all your folks to get out of poverty.